Leif Erikson was a Norse explorer who is thought to have been the first European to have set foot on continental North America, approximately half a millennium before Christopher Columbus. According to the sagas of Icelanders, he established a Norse settlement at Vinland, which is usually interpreted as being coastal North America. Leif was the son of Eric the Red, the founder of the first Norse settlement in Greenland, and Thjodhild, of Iceland. His place of birth is not known, but he is assumed to have been born in Iceland, which had recently been colonized by Norsemen mainly from Norway. He was also a distant relative of Nadad, who discovered Iceland. Leif's year of birth is most often given as c. 970 or c. 980. Though his birthplace is not accounted for in the sagas, it is likely he was born in Iceland. The saga of Eric the Red and the saga of the Greenlanders, both thought to have been written around 1200, contain different accounts of the voyages to Vinland, usually interpreted as coastal North America. The only two known strictly historical mentions of Vinland are found in the work of Adam of Bremen c. 1075 and in the Book of Icelanders compiled c. 1122 by Ari the Wise. According to Saga of Eric the Red, Leif discovered Vinland after being blown off course on his way from Norway to Greenland. Before this voyage, Leif had spent time at the court of Norwegian King Olaf Tryggvason, where he had converted to Christianity. When Leif encountered the storm that forced him off course, he had been on his way to introduce Christianity to the Greenlanders. After they had arrived at an unknown shore, the crew disembarked and explored the area. They found wild grapes, self-sown wheat, and maple trees. Afterwards, they loaded their ship with samples of these newly found goods and sailed to Greenland. According to Saga of the Greenlanders, Leif was not the first European to discover Vinland. Instead, Bjarni Herjolfsson and his crew on a voyage from Iceland to Greenland were overtaken by wind and fog, missed the southern tip of Greenland, and encountered an unknown coast. Believing it to be somewhere other than Greenland, they did not disembark but rather continued to sail and found two additional coasts that did not correspond with their understanding of Greenland. After sailing back east, they eventually made it to their original destination, and then told of their discoveries. Roughly 15 years later, Leif approached Bjarni, purchased his ship, gathered a crew of 35 men, and mounted an expedition towards the land Bjarni had described in 1002 or 1003. His father Eric was set to join him but dropped out after he fell from his horse on his way to the ship, an incident he interpreted as a bad omen. Leif followed Bjarni's route in reverse and landed first in a rocky and desolate place he named Hiljaland, Flat Rock Land, possibly Baffin Island or northern parts of Labrador. After venturing further by sea, he landed the second time in a forested place he named Markland, Forest Land, possibly near Cape Porcupine, Labrador. After 2 more days at sea, he landed on an island to the north, possibly Belle Isle, and then returned to the mainland, going past a cape on the north side, perhaps Cape Bald. They sailed to the west of this and landed in a verdant area with a mild climate and plentiful supplies of salmon. As winter approached, he decided to encamp there and sent out parties to explore the country. During one of these explorations, Tyrker discovered that the land was full of vines and grapes. Leif therefore named the land Vinland. There, he and his crew built a small settlement, which was called Leifsbudir, Leifsbooths, by later visitors from Greenland. After having wintered over in Vinland, Leif returned to Greenland in the spring with a cargo of grapes and timber. Research done in the early 1960s by Norwegian explorer Helge Ingstad and his wife, archaeologist Anne Stein Ingstad, identified a Norse site located at the northern tip of Newfoundland. It has been suggested that this site, known as Lance Auxiliary Meadows, is Leifsbudir. The Ingstads demonstrated that Norsemen had reached America about 500 years before Christopher Columbus. The winter after Leif returned from Vinland, his father died, making Leif paramount chief in Greenland. Leif is last mentioned alive in 1019. Leif's successful expedition in Vinland encouraged other Norsemen to also make the journey, and the Norse became the first Europeans to colonize the area. In the end there were no permanent Norse settlements, although sporadic voyages at least to Markland for forages, timber, and trade possibly lasted for centuries. Leif is, in all likelihood, a historical figure who remains the first known European to set foot in continental North America.